The following is a public service announcement. There are 31 days until Christmas. Some of you are groaning inside while others are thrilled. My daughter is not thrilled. She is not crazy about the holidays. They break up the routine, and people with autism are all about routine. So she's not crazy about Christmas. But the holiday she really hates is Halloween. It is hard for someone with profound mental disabilities to make sense of all that spooky, scary stuff. Over the years, I've tried to help her with it. One time, years ago now, we were in a fast food place, and it was all decorated for Halloween. It was near Halloween. There were monster posters on the walls, and I tried to make a joke of it and make them seem lame and tame. And then I pointed at Frankenstein, and I said, "Marie, who's that?" She said, "Frankenstein." And then I pointed at the mummy, and I said, "Well, who's that?" She said, "The mummy." And then I pointed at the wolf man, and I said, "Who's that?" And she said, "Elvis." My Marie loves Elvis. The holidays, not so much. Now, Elvis had a song called Blue Christmas. We need to remember that a lot of people feel blue at holiday time. We're already starting to hear all that Christmas music in stores and on the radio. And you know what? I really hate one of them. I hate the one that starts, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." Maybe it is a wonderful time for a lot of people, and that's great. But I know that for a lot of other people, holidays aren't so wonderful. Winter is the darkest time of the year in our northern latitudes. Nights are long, days are short, and some people become seasonally sad. Not only that, but people may be missing distant loved ones or even departed loved ones around the holidays. And if we already feel kind of down anyway, it can make us feel guilty when the culture around us says that we're supposed to be all joyful at this most wonderful time of the year. So if you love Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's great. But just remember that for some, this can be a tough time. Now, I'm fascinated by the truth about Christmas. You know, we have no idea of the actual date of Jesus' birth. Birth certificates are a modern invention, and certainly back in that time and place, peasant babies like Jesus were not acknowledged widely. We don't know the month he was born in, much less the actual date. So, a couple of hundred years after the time of Jesus, the church decided we needed a date on which to celebrate this great birth. And the time of the winter solstice was chosen. There were already pagan celebrations of the solstice when the days start ever so slowly to get longer in our hemisphere and when the light starts to return. So why not set the festival of Christmas, the coming of the light of the world, just as the light starts to grow in our northern part of the planet? And that, boys and girls, is how December 25th was chosen as Christmas. And it's just 31 days away, as I said. Now, our second reading today was from Colossians. Back in 1977, I took my very first seminary course in New Testament exegesis, which is a fancy word for interpretation. We studied the letter to the Colossians in Greek. Our professor was the toughest professor in the seminary, and I worked really, really hard for him, and I got an A. And that meant that ever after, I have had a soft spot in my heart for the letter to the Colossians. This letter says that we have been rescued from darkness and brought into the light. And that is all because of Christ, whom this letter calls the firstborn of all creation and the head of the church. We are now people of the light, and we have light to share. I love the old story about an English professor in a small college. One day he told his class he wanted to read them something. He said, "This is one of the finest, most eloquent lines in all of English literature. So listen very carefully because it's quite short." And then he read them these words, "Walk with light." And he read them again softly, "Walk with light." And then a third time more loudly, "Walk with light." And then the professor said, "Isn't that a great thing to say to someone?" And the class agreed, and they wanted to know the source. What was the poem or the essay from which these words were taken? And the professor said, "Well, the words are anonymous. They're written on a sign at the corner of Main Street and 3rd Avenue. Walk with light." I love that because it means that even something as simple as a traffic sign can remind us, if our eyes are open, about what is really important. It's getting dark outside. The days are shorter. The nights are longer. It's getting dark outside. It seems like bad guys are winning on the world stage. It's getting dark outside. People I love are having a hard time, even during a holiday season. But it's light in here. It's light near God's altar, and it's light wherever Christ shines. So, take the light of Christ with you in your heart today. There are a lot of people out there, like my sweet daughter, for whom we are coming to a hard time of the year. They feel the darkness. They see the shadows. They feel sadness. You and I can be the light of Christ for them. You and I can bring a little light to them. You and I can take a little joy wherever we go and spread it around. My daughter once said to this priest, "Lighten up, God boy," and her words can apply to all of us church people. Lighten up, share the light, spread the light. Actually, it's our job, isn't it? We're sent out at the end of church with a mission. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Let us go forth in the name of Christ. Christ is our light. So when we go, let's bring a little light, a little love, and a little joy. That will make the holidays or any season the most wonderful time of the year. Amen.